Hello there everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to make this half round Kumihimo braid with chain running all the way through it in the middle here. You can see this is the look. So you kind of have this chain in the middle and then the borders on each side where I then have the cord, and that just shows you work with contrasting colours to give it a nice impact. You can also choose whatever materials that you want to. You get this really nice sparkle effect from the chain. It reflects in the light, almost a bit like faceting but with metal, because obviously it's a chain. So that's what it looks like. So if you want to learn how to make this, then keep watching. So it's then these materials here that we're going to need. Now I've got a round Kumihimo disc here first of all, because I'm making a half round braid. You could really use either the round or the square one, but I'm just going to be working with the round one for now. And then the cord that I'm going to be using is a 1mm satin cord, and just this nice purple colour. Go nicely with the chain that I'm using. I'm using here a finer chain. So this is 2 by 3mm in the links. You don't have to use this specifically. I would just say a finer chain is best to get the best effect on the braid. And this is just a bit of a light rose gold colour. So you can obviously use whatever materials that you want to, but then let's get it all together and let's get started. So then we'll need some lengths of both the cord and the wire, and what I have here is 3 lengths of each, so 6 in total, and they're all 1 meter long each. So both the cord and the chain, each of them are 1 meter, and then what I've done is I've put all the ends together like that, and then I've just tied a regular knot in the middle to hold them together and know that this is the midpoint, and I've just tied a piece of scrap wire around it as well, and then I'm going to attach this to my disc. So I've now taken all my lengths of cord and my wire here and attached them onto my disc. So I've taken that knot that I made with the wire, sticking it out of the back, and just put it down through the centre of the disc, and then I've distributed my cords and chain like this. So on the top, I'm not using the numbers, I'm just using the dots here for reference. So around the top dot I put 4 lengths of my cord, so 2 on each side, and then around the bottom dot I put 4 lengths of my chain, again 2 on each side there. Then on the sides of the disc, around that dot on the side, on the top side I put my chain, and on the bottom side I put my cord, and the same thing on the other side. Again, the top side of the dot is the chain and the bottom side is the cord as well. So this is the setup. So now what we need to do is start making the braid itself. And to do that, what we're going to do is start from the top of the disc here. So I'm going to take from the top, so that group of 4, I'm going to take the one that's just to the right side of the dot. So that's this one here. So not the very outer one, but just on the right side of the dot. Bring it over to the opposite side of the disc, so from the right side of that dot over to the left, and then down below the pair on the side of that side there, and put it into that slot below. Then I'm going to take the one just to the left side of the top dot, bring it over towards the right side of the disc, so the opposite side, and again below the side pair there, just in that slot below. And then you can see here I've freed up a space in the middle. So what I want to do now is then bring these two closer together. So just the outer cords, bring them in one slot, so they now sit right on each side of that dot. So now we need to do pretty much the same on the bottom here. So I'm going to take the piece of chain that's just to the right of the bottom dot, and then bring it over towards the left, and now above these cords and chain on that left side. Then I'm going to take the one just to the left of the dot on the bottom and bring it over towards the right, and again above the cords and chain over here. So just like that. And again you can see now we have that open space down here. So all I'm going to do with that is just close that up, so move each chain on each side there of the dot one step closer towards the dot, so we close it up there nicely. So this is the first step. So now what we need to do is work on the sides, because you can see we had 4 cords, now we have 2 on the top and the bottom. Now we have the 4 cords on the side. So what I'm going to do is start on the left side here, and then take the length of chain that's just above the dot. So not the outer one, the furthest top one, but just above it. And then I'm going to bring this from the top above the dot and down, and then stay on the left side of the bottom pair here. And then I'm going to take the cord that's just below the dot on the side, bring it up on the disc, and stay on the left side of the disc here as well. And again you can now see we have a gap there on the side. While I'm here, I'm just going to close this up by moving both the chain and the cord in one slot towards the dot. So that's that side. Now we need to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to take the chain just above the dot, and bring it down and stay on the right side here of the bottom chains. Then I'm going to take the cord that's just below the dot and bring it up and stay on the right side. And then again we have this gap, so I'm just going to move the chain one slot towards the dot and then the cord as well. So there we go, and now we're back. You can see we're basically back in the original position where we have the 4 cords on the top and the 4 chains at the bottom, and then the cords and chains there on the side. So that was then one full go around on the disc. So now all we need to do is basically do this whole thing again and keep doing this over and over. So I'm just going to show you one more time. So I take from the top cords here, the ones just to the right of the dot, over towards the left and below the pairs there. And then I'm going to take the one just to the left of the dot and over towards the right. So kind of always think that we're pretty much always going towards the opposite direction. And then as I freed up that gap, I'm just going to close it up straight away while I'm here. And then I'm going to take from the bottom the chain just to the right of the dot over towards the left, so the opposite from the right side over towards the opposite side, that's the left. Then the chain that's just to the left of the cord, or the dot there, sorry, over towards the right. And then again, just close up the gap. Then we now reach the sides here. So I'm going to take on my left side of the disc the chain that's just above the dot and bring it down. And then I'm going to take the cord that's just below the dot and then bring it up. And again, close up the gap, move them closer to that dot. And on the last side here, I'm going to take the chain just above the dot. And what I like to do as I'm moving my chain and my cord is I just like to kind of pull it in towards the middle, just to help settle everything in there in place. And then bring it into that slot where we need to put it. And then I'm going to take the cord below the dot and then up next to the other cords up there. And then just close up the gap. So that's now another full go around, and like I said, just keep doing this until you used up all your cord and your chain. So now that I kept going making the braid here, you then have it coming out at the back, and it looks a little something like this. So you have the chain running all the way down the middle with your cord kind of a border on each side, which is why I think it's nice using contrasting colours as well. The back looks like that. And then what we need to do now is I'm just going to take this off the board and tie a knot right at the end here to keep all the cords together and stop the braid from unraveling. So this is then the braid. So this is kind of what I would say is the front. You have all this chain in the middle, where you then have that cord on each side like the border. And the back looks like this. So the back is a bit more flat here. So I personally would wear it like this. Obviously you can use whatever side you prefer, but for me this is like the main side of it. And that gives a really nice impact with that chain in the middle. So what you have to do now is finish off the ends and obviously turn it into a bracelet, because we have the whole braid done now. So you also need to figure out how long you need this to be. So say start on one end, finish off that end, and then measure the length, obviously minus whatever length your clasp is going to take off, and then finish off that end as well. I already have a tutorial where I show how I finish off Kumihimo ends, and this is the exact same thing even with the chain as well. For this one it's more of a flat braid, so I'm going to be using ribbon ends. These ones are just 12mm wide ones, they fit nicely on there. I'm going to use those. Like I said, I showed that in that tutorial. But then what I wanted to just mention here is I'm going to take my glue, because obviously you might be able to see when you cut this over. By the way, also make sure you cut it with wire cutters, because it's chain in here. It's going to ruin your scissors if you use your scissors. So just use wire cutters. And then the way that I'm going to do it, so when you cut through it, it's not going to come undone. Because the chain is going to unravel much easier, I'm going to take my glue before I cut anything, and then take some, I'm just going to use a toothpick to apply it with, and then add glue where I want to cut it, all the way around, the whole way around, and the sides as well. And that just to bond it together, and I'm going to let that dry, and once it's dried, then I'm going to cut through it. Not on one side, but straight through the glue. And then there's going to be glue left on the end, which then holds that end of your braid together. And then you're ready to then use your ribbon ends. So that's how I'm going to do it more securely without worrying too much about the actual braid coming undone. So do that, attach the ribbon ends, your findings as well, and then you'll have your finished bracelet. So I now attach my ribbon ends here, and I've also attached my findings, so just a lobster claw clasp. and then extend the chain using some jump rings. And then this is the finished bracelet. So it's going to look a little something like this when wearing it. We give this really nice effect of that chain in the middle, like I said, with the cord around the edge. Obviously completely different looks depending what materials and colours that you choose to use, but you just have this chain where it really is going to add sparkle as well in different lights. It's going to really reflect the light throughout and just give this really nice, almost faceted look as you turn your wrist and that. So this is what it looks like. So a pretty simple braid to do, and quick and easy as well. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and thank you very much for watching. Hello everyone, today I want to show you how to make this heart chain Kumihimo braid, and this is what mine looks like here. So it's the regular heart pattern Kumihimo braid, but then I've replaced one of the cords that would make the heart with chain instead, and then it can look like this. So it gives a really nice effect, you can see. Gives a really nice elegance to the piece, and the back looks like this. So it's nice and flat, even with the chain as well. Then I just turned it into a bracelet. So if you want to learn how to make this braid with